I was just about to say something, but sounds like somebody's trying to make a contact on the RATS machine, which will be the focus of tonight's net, probably.
K9WVU from KB2OYI.
Are we going to have yet again another change up on the net control? Is it going to be Rob again with the same duty as usual?
KB2OYI clear monitoring.
There's always an interesting development right before net time, regardless of what net we're going to participate in. The holiday season is getting to the point where, understandably, you can't make the net. You find somebody else to take the job for you for the night. There may be things going on at home. Company shows up. Family surprises, what have you. I understand. We don't have that problem here because it's just us. Thank you. It might be a little early, but I've got about a minute 15 before we got to start. But that's just the way my watch is set. And it's not accurate either. Yeah, I missed. Actually got last week's net, but I deleted it before I uploaded it. Sorry. Gotta be careful with the camera phone there. It's too easy to drop those things and break them.
WA4FC CL74.4.
Yeah, I was feeling kind of bad last week anyways. I worked really hard last week and kind of felt under the weather. So this week, not so bad. Still working fairly hard. Got lots of things done here in the shack. Made a few contacts. Can't complain too much. Nobody would listen anyways. Unless you really wanted me to complain, but that's not why you're here, right? Surely you're not here because I complain about stuff on the YouTube channel. No. Anyways, welcome. William, K4ARX. You're watching the American Radio X-Ray. This is going to be the RATS net on the UHF machine. Probably KB2OYI, Rob. Might be Wayne. WB9. UVW. Was that right? It could be Scott. It could be Randy. It could really be anybody assigned. Gavin could show up. He might not be working tonight. I don't know. And there's the third repeater ID for top of the hour on 2 meters. Except for that. That's a notification from YouTube. Of course, that channel may have just dropped their channel or their video at the top of the hour.
K9WVU from KB2OYI.
Well, are we going to have a problem? Are we going to have a net? K9WVU.
Nothing heard, so we'll get things started. This is KB2OYI. Calling the Richmond Amateur Telecommunications Society net. That is your Wednesday night RATS net. I want to welcome everyone back to the RATS net, which we do on Wednesday nights, 7 p.m. on the 442.550 repeater. This repeater uses a positive offset and a 74.4 PL tone. My name is Rob, Romeo Oscar Bravo, and my call sign is Kilo Bravo 2, Oscar Yankee India, Rob, KB2, OYI, and I'll be your net control operator for this evening, unless Wayne shows up. I think this is usually his night, but I didn't text him today, so we didn't cross paths to touch base on it. So unfortunately, you're going to have me, unless he shows up, and then I will gladly pass it off to him. But before we get things started, are there any stations on frequency having any emergency or priority traffic? If so, please call now.
No.
Nothing heard, which is a good thing. But if at any time anyone does have any emergency traffic, just please call break and the net will yield for your traffic. Once again, folks, we meet here on Wednesday night and encourage check-ins regardless of your location, affiliation, or your license class. All properly licensed amateurs are always invited to participate, and the purpose of this net is general fellowship within the local amateur radio community, spotlight on any rap club happenings, or any other radio events, things like that. And if folks ever have any questions, we at a minimum at least try to get you steered in the right direction. All right, when checking in, please give your call sign and first name. Slowly, phonetically, yells me out even more. Please state if you have any announcements of traffic for the net. We handle traffic first and then informal comments after that. Go ahead and get this list built up. We always throw the mobile and portable stations on first. Mobile and portable stations wishing to check into the RASnet, please call now.
Please. Delta 4, India, Romeo, Bravo. Mike at Hanover, no traffic.
Is
Kilo, Quebec 4, Mike Echo Foxtrot, Mark. I'll be in and out.
This is Kilo, Quebec 4, Papa Juliet Alpha, Kenny in Chesterfield Mobile, in and out. This is Kilo, Charlie 4, November Papa Delta, John in Henrico Mobile, I'll be in and out.
Man, it's going to be a short net.
This is Kilo 4, Oscar, Whiskey, Uniform, Mike, Glen Allen. This is IRB, and then we've got OWU, and then we had 3 stations checking in as in and out. We had MEF, PJA, and NPD, so we were mobile and in and out, so drive safely, and thanks for checking in, folks. We'll catch up with you another time. All right, let's go ahead and we'll try to expand this list a little bit more before we get started. Plus, it'll give me time to think of a question of the night. So general check-ins, wishing to check into the RASnet. Get on the list. Please call now.
Kilo 4, Echo, X-ray, K4EXX, Don in Chester. Have a good loud signal on you, no traffic for the net. This is Kilo Oscar 4, Kilo Alpha Delta, Randy in Western Henrico. No traffic.
Net control, this is William, Kilo 4, Alpha, Romeo, X-ray. Kind of sparse.
All right, net recognizes EXX, KAD, and ARX. I thought of one topic, but I'm wondering if I should save that for when we have a larger list. You know what, we're going to just do it today, and we can always revisit it again. The topic of the night is, what is the dumbest thing you have ever done radio related? So if you're very new to the hobby, maybe it was you just, I don't know, weren't aware of proper etiquette, maybe you said something improper or whatever, but you ever shocked yourself pretty good, fell off your tower, blew something up. Yeah, that could be a fun discussion if anyone has any fun stories. Yeah, the dumbest thing you've ever done radio related. So I'll go ahead and think of mine. First one that comes to mind is not that serious, but I'll interject here about halfway through. So let's go ahead and get started. This is KB2OI with the Rats Net. First on the list is Mike, KD4IRB. Good to hear you, sir. Your comments. Go ahead.
KD4IRB. Good evening, and good evening everyone on this rainy day. It's rained all day, so I don't feel it yet too. I've been outside a couple of times, been in a trash can and get soaked. But otherwise, this day is not really, you could do anything outside. I did some cleanup inside in the radio room, and everything seems to be okay now, except I have to remember to once in a while turn on the charger and charge the battery. And what's the dumbest thing I did? And I tell you, you know that I always like to work on radio. And being as an engineer, I worked on many radios and design and whatever. But the stupidest things I ever did, and if anybody remember old tube-type radios, when the BPOS were a minimum of 150 volts, I keep forgetting to turn off the power supply after I troubleshoot it and determine it. I have to change a component. To change the component, and guess what? The 150 volts was still on it. Over.
I woke you up, and I figured you would have a story like that for the amount of radio projects you do, but you know, hopefully one good zap like that, you learn your lesson, and hopefully it's not a serious one. I changed out the tubes in my amplifier a couple years ago, and I was real paranoid about how long to leave it unpowered to bleed out all the capacitors, because I've always heard that, you know, you can never let it rest long enough before you go in there with your hands and start removing the original tube. So luckily nothing bad happened there. All right, Mike. Well, thanks for joining us tonight as always. You have yourself a good day, and I think we'll get some clearer weather starting tomorrow for sure. All right, next on the list, let's go to Mike, KK4OWU. Your comments for the net. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, KK4OW, Mike and Glen Allen. Things going well here. Actually, I got to listen to the International Space Station tonight. Mark, KQ4MEF put out something on Slack and how to bracket the frequencies to listen to it, and it was very cool and very interesting. I thank you for that. The dumbest thing I think I've done is I was on the net and I heard mobiles and portables, and I heard a pause, and I went ahead and jumped in, and he hadn't said come now. That was our buddy RAD, and the bad thing about it is I did it 2 weeks in a row. So that's the dumbest thing I've done that I know of. Everything's good here, getting all the Christmas goodies together for all the kids and grandkids, and 73's everybody. Take care. KK4OWU.
All right, Mike, good to hear from you. Well, probably a mistake that I make about once a year is I'll have the wrong side of the radio on, and I'll start calling the net on the wrong repeater. So you're usually good to have me do that once a year. Yeah, I hooked up power supply to radio and reverse, and just made a really awful, and by awful I just mean unusual click, click, click sound. So I was going to turn that off pretty fast because I wouldn't want to have left that on longer to see what the problem would have been. But, when I'm cutting my own pigtail wires, probably should have bought a spool of red and a spool of black wire. But I've got electrical tape on it now. So, the two different colors does help. All right, we'll clear with Mike. And next on our list is Don, K4EXX. Your comments for the net. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, good evening, Rob, and everybody on the net. Stupidest thing I've ever done on the radio. Let me think a second. Oh, yes. I was working one Friday night in First Precinct in the city, and there's a little orange button on top of the Motorola radio that we had used, the handheld one. And I don't know, I was getting out of the car or something, and I hit that little red button, not paying any attention to it. And all of a sudden, the radio started screaming, officer in trouble, or officer has an emergency. And about 3 or 4 units come rolling up to where I was at, wanting to know what kind of emergency. I didn't know what they were talking about. And Sergeant kind of chewed me out for hit that little orange button and said, you be more careful with that from now on. Okay, yes, sir. And I felt kind of stupid, and I never let that happen again. So back to that. Set me please, everybody. I hope everybody has a good dry rest of the week, even though it is going to get a little cold. This is K4EXX, clear with KB2. OI.
All right, Donald, thanks for joining us as usual. I don't think we heard you last week. Maybe it was the week before. I don't know, but either way, it's good to have you back. Thanks for sharing your little anecdote there. And another common one happens where folks kind of leave a mic locked in the transmit position, and or it sounds like someone's sitting on their mic keying it up endlessly. So you listen to the repeaters long enough, you probably hear that once every couple of weeks. But all right, this is KB2OI of the Rat's Net, going next to our good friend Randy. KO4KAD, what is going on in your world? Go ahead, sir.
KB2OI, good evening, Rob, and everybody on the net. We got some much-needed rain today, although it wasn't a lot in and out of it all day. And as far as stupidest thing I've done in the ham radio hobby, I don't think we have enough time to be on for that. But, so I'll just give you a couple. First, I guess, would be this particular radio, the ICOM 2730, the dual VFO. I have called out multiple times on the wrong VFO, thinking I'm on one repeater when I'm on another, and saying stuff that probably doesn't make any sense. That's for starters. And then when I first started activating POTA, one of the big things you need for your log is what frequency you're actually on. And I forgot to write that down and worked like 30 contacts. Came home to log it and had no idea where I was at on the 20-meter band when I was making those contacts. Luckily, I was able to email one of the hams I worked and ask him and got an answer. I've done plenty of stupid stuff. One other thing I found unique, I worked a station the other day with a unique call sign. Whiskey 5 Alpha Sierra Sierra. Don't think I would want that call sign, but anyways, go for KAD.
Thanks for sharing that. I actually did something stupid last Thursday night. I was listening to you run the Aries net outside the shack. I was in the kitchen area, and I completely knocked off the HT off the table and took a nice spill, and it pretty much snapped in half the my little antenna I had on there. So I think it works. I don't know. I was trying to call out that last weekend for a testing or signal report. No one got back to me, so I don't know if I really broke it, but it's been at a 45-degree angle. It looks broke. So, but and another common faux pas a lot of us have done. We think our radio is broken, but we accidentally just hit the squelch knob, taking a turn for the worse. Again, gives you the illusion that your radio is malfunctioning. So something we've all done, at least most of us have done. All right, we'll clear Randy. Let's go to William, K4ARX. Your comments for that? Go ahead, sir.
Net control, K4ARX here. Fine signal to the repeater, loud and clear. No problems hearing you at all on this machine. I've had lots and lots of regrets, lots of mistakes. We all make mistakes, as many as there may be. I've done direct shorts, cross polarity. I used to have one of those little Swiss Army knives, pocket knife, tiny little thing that goes on your keychain. And I had a project going on one of my cars, and I thought, hey, I need to put a new connector on that hot wire. And the key was still in the ignition. The knife was hanging off the key ring, and I went to cut that wire. I completed a nice little short through the key switch on my car. Just about burned it down, but pulled the key out real quick. Figured out that's what the dumb idea was, and probably popped a little diode in the radio. And typical thing. I've done it with power supplies and batteries and such. And I have done some weird things here and there. The biggest thing I have is regret of doing those things, or completely missing out and not doing anything at all. A few years off the radio, off the HF. That's the biggest thing. It's just the regret of missing out on the things that I could have learned from, even all the mistakes. So biggest mistake was not doing anything at all. These days, I don't even watch TV anymore. I just listen to all these radios. I interfere with myself. There's other things that go over the air that probably ought not. Cussing and swearing on the repeater when it's not necessary. Just an accident. Normal conversation. It just happens. Anyways, many regrets, mistakes, but it happens to the best of us. KB2OII, K4ARX.
All right, William. Well, thanks for sharing all that. And I believe isn't your motto on your YouTube is "Don't do what I do." And you actually brought up a really good point. And I'm kind of in the same boat. Maybe one of the dumb things I've done in radio is have a giant gap of inactivity, where could have been enjoying it and learning things sooner. Maybe I should have learned things more throughout when I did get back in. So if you want to look at it from that angle or perspective, that could definitely qualify as maybe a dumb thing in the radio hobby for, I guess, maybe neglect could be the word to use for the hobby. But good food for thought there, or whatever. You know what I'm trying to say. All right, that was the end of the list. So let's go ahead and do this. This is KB2OYI with the Rats Net, looking for additional check-ins. If you're out there wishing to join us, please call now.
Whatever, William. Whatever.
This is Kilo Oscar 4, Uniform Oscar Romeo.
We're running short tonight.
Take them as they come. KO4, UOR, Scott, The topic is, what's some dumb things you've done in radio? Go ahead.
Not running short, but running kind of thin.
Well, this was a pretty good one. So I have RT Systems software and cables for my FT991A and for my ICOM 2730A. And I decided it was time to, work on my memories, my channel memory. And so I did that for the 991A. Went pretty well. Then I did it for the ICOM 2730A, but it didn't work at all. I tried 2 different connections on the back of the radio. I even read the instructions, and the software on my computer just wasn't recognizing that the cable was connected. So I called my son up to help me. He's an IT professional, and he tried and tried. We reinstalled the RT System software. Didn't make any difference. And so I finally, determined that the cable was bad. And so the next day I got in touch with RT Systems and told them what was going on. Or maybe it was by email. But anyway, somebody called me from there and they said, okay, so are you using the blue cable? I said yes. And they asked if I'd tried this and that, and they said, yeah, it sounds like your computer's just not recognizing that cable for some reason. We'll send you another one. And so they did, and it arrived about 2 days later. And let me take a quick break. So I opened up the package, and there was another clear plastic envelope with the cable in it, and as I looked at it, I realized I had another cable that looked like that. And sure enough, I had that cable already. But what happened was when the lady asked me, did you use the blue cable, I thought she meant, did you use the cable with the blue end on it, the USB? And I said yes. But what she meant was the cable itself was blue. What she didn't ask was, does the USB connector say RT Systems on it? So I had grabbed another cable for my Zygu G90. And that's what I had been trying to use for the ICOM 2730A. Of course, it didn't work. And so I sent the new cable back because they sent me a recall, a return label for it. And then they called me a couple of days later and said, we got the cable back. It looks like it's a new cable. And so I had to fess up and explain that I had goofed, and they didn't charge me. But anyway, that was pretty recent, so it sticks in my memory. There are a number of others, as you can imagine. KO4UOR 73, everyone. Back to net control.
Did you say 74?
All right, Scott, good to hear you. Hope you're doing well. And one of the great things about being in the radio hobby is you definitely accumulate a lot of cables and adapters and plugs and chargers and this and that, and everything looks the same, and you have no idea what goes to what, because ham radio folks have notoriously great organizational skills. So maybe if we had a means to do it, show everybody the nightmare or disaster that is your most cluttered shack or drawers in your shack desk possible. That could be a fun exercise And once again, let's call out. This is KB2OAI with the RatsNet. Any additional check-ins, please call now.
Wow. Not many check-ins.
All right. Well, I guess that'll do it for tonight. Maybe folks are wrapping gifts, or I don't know what they're doing, but they're not doing the RatsNet. Either way, I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. It's fun as always, and we'll look to do this again next week, of course. And hope to chat with you over the weekend. I'll be hanging out in the shack definitely over the weekend, probably during the hours of the Army-Navy game, which is this Saturday for anyone interested. Should be fun. And yeah, that's all I got. So this is KB2OAI going to close the net down for this evening. Return the repeater for regular amateur radio usage, and we'll say 7-3. I will be clear on my file.
KB2OYI, KO4UOR.
I hope you're not going to tell me it's really Tuesday, and that's why the turnout was so low.
No, it's really Wednesday the 11th.
No, it's definitely Wednesday. Yeah, I don't know where everybody is. That's kind of crazy. So, yeah, good topic tonight. There's always a lot of material for that one. And, yeah, another air quotes favorite of mine was when I connected my ICOM 2730A to my lithium iron phosphate battery with the terminals switched. Immediately blasted the two fuses, and it took me a week or maybe two to get replacements because I was trying so hard to match them exactly. I learned a lot about fuses in the process, about what was important to match and what wasn't, but I still worry a little bit about that radio because if I've been transmitting at all, the wires and I guess the fuses themselves get very, very hot. The wire, downstream or upstream of the fuses is fine, but within 2 inches of those fuses, it gets very hot. So anyway, that was another one. But how have you been? And do you need gift ideas for me, or are you planning to give me the same thing you gave me last year? Over?
Let me guess. Nothing.
All right. Well, to answer your questions, number one, how have I been? I've been rather busy at work. So I guess that's good. Yeah, it's busy at work. Trying to enjoy the downtime on the weekends. In full holiday mode swing here. So yeah, it's just pretty full. But again, that's not a bad thing. Just everything's been happening really fast. But I guess what happens when you get older. I always thought people were joking about that, but it's real. As far as what I'm giving you for Christmas, I'm going to give you the same thing that I'm going to give everyone else in the local amateur radio community. And that is, I'm going to give you all the gift of being a net control operator for another year, 2025. So it's the gift that keeps on giving. KB2OYI. Back to you.
That's funny. I've never gotten that pleasure before. Weird.
No doubt about it. That is a wonderful gift. I asked somebody else the question about Christmas gifts earlier today, and I said, "Are you going to get me, the same thing you got me last year?" He said, "Yeah, but I'll probably wrap it a little bit fancy this time."
Roger that. Hey, I got something for you here. I'm actually going out to Nelson County on Sunday. Me, a buddy from my work, we've been making a yearly December trip out there and meeting another old friend of mine who had moved out that way just for a day of hanging out at a brewery out there. But I'm going to be calling out on the radio, this repeater and probably MRA from out that way if I got some perceived elevation. So you may hear me call out operating on the repeater from Nelson County sometime Saturday from noon to 3 in the afternoon, I'm guessing. So we'll see. Again, it's not a radio-centric trip, but I will have the radio on the truck, and we'll see what we can or can't do.
I'm going to be drunk on the air, huh? On the DOTA station.
Now, is this by any chance the brewery right on Route 29 next to the ambulance garage?
Negative. This is, if you take the Crozet exit, I'm from New Jersey, so we do exit numbers. I believe it's exit 107 off 64 West. And you make a right-hand turn once you get off the exit. So I believe that puts you coming back eastbound. And it's maybe a quarter mile on your right-hand side right there. I also have to stop at a winery that's in the opposite direction because I get quarterly allotments that I'm due to pick up, and I also use this as an opportunity to get all the wine that I've already been paying for throughout the year that we'll drink during the Christmas season.
Okay, very nice, very nice. Yeah, I went that way last Saturday when it was, that Saturday was, the day that it warmed up to the mid-40s. And I took that day, even though it wasn't great for being outdoors, I took that day to go up to the Skyline Drive and had a really good day, played radio, activated the park. And up there, I think the high was about 32. So I actually didn't do any hiking, just stopped at just about every one of the overlooks from the Swift Run Gap entrance that's on Route 33, and then down south to the Rockfish Gap entrance, and then headed home. But one of the contacts I made on 14652 was with Phil, KF4ZTO. Phil usually, you've talked to Phil, but he usually operates Simplex on 146490. And he was taking his son and his mother to Crozet to see Santa Claus. I think he said something about Santa Claus. I want to say it was like a streetcar or something like that, a trolley. I think it was a trolley. But anyway, I thought that was interesting. But yeah, Crozet's got some nice elevation to it. We will be listening for you.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, I got a buddy out there. He moved out to Lexington a couple of years ago. So we try to meet up once a year as well. So, coincidentally, he's actually the guy who convinced me to go to brewing school, like, 7 years ago or whatever. So it's all his fault, his idea. But good buddy of mine. Unfortunately, only get to see each other once a year or so. But yeah, it should be a fun day out for Sunday. Saturday, I'm going to spend my time getting involved for the Army-Navy game. We always have a little event here with some folks over, and I'll be putting some smoke on some slabs of meat for that as well. So I'm looking forward to that. So yeah, busy weekend. Gonna be busy day at work tomorrow. Hopefully Friday's quiet, but yeah, it's been a wild ride. But it's good. Keeps you alert, right? KB2 OII, back to you, Scott.
KO4UOR. Yeah, a couple things. That's very interesting about the brewing school. I'm interested to know if you went to the brewing school on your own dime or if you had already been hired by the Williamsburg brewery at the time. Oh, and I went to school at William and Mary in the early 80s, and at that time, the drinking age was 18, and we would sometimes go out to the brewery, the big one, Anheuser-Busch, to their hospitality center where you could have 2 free cups of beer. And it always amazed me that the bartenders always knew if you had had your 2. Nobody got 3. The other thing I wanted to mention is that you mentioned that as you get older, life happens faster. That is generally true, except for one thing, and that is any minor injury that you would have gotten over in 2 days when you were 30 takes about 2 weeks when you're 40 and about 2 months when you're 60. Over.
I agree with you and concur with you on that for sure. we're all day to day, as they like to say. But to answer your question real quick about the school, I did do it on my own, and I did it in hopes to transition into that industry. And I actually linked up with the folks that I used to work for in Williamsburg through the schooling program, as I did an internship with them. And then that was kind of like the final chapter, final obstacle course of the program with that, and then kind of use that as a gateway into employment there while I was, knocking on doors and trying to get my foot in the door somewhere in the meantime. But those folks called me when they needed somebody, and I was still available, and the rest is all history. And now I am where I am now, and yeah, so that's the real short, abridged version of that story.
Yeah, well, it seems like the last few times you've mentioned your day job, you've said it was a rough week or really busy. Are you all fully staffed, or what's going on? Is it different than it was, let's say, 6 months ago? Sounds like it's more work. It's more like work now than it was back then. Is that true?
In no means should you interpret this as any kind of complaining, because I'm not. I am extremely happy on where I am and what I do. I guess it's just a matter of there's always something coming up and for a different reason. So this is technically our slower season, if you will. The beer roll picks up spring and summer, as you can imagine. So in prep to that, we will start ramping up basically once February hits, because the production of February becomes the beer out the door March, April, May, June, and basically just kind of goes sequential like that. So, you know, when I literally say it's been a rough week or busy week, it's it could be anything, you know, and maybe I take things a little too, you know, I don't know what the right word is, but if any little minor thing happens, you know, I kind of put that in the column of, you know, as the difficultness of the week, but nothing catastrophic by any means. But yeah, we are fully staffed up now, and we're doing good. It's just, you know, little speed bumps hit you every now and then, but it's nothing serious. If I'm ever really worn out, you will know. But yeah, so please don't interpret that in any negative way at all, because it's not. You know, overall things are good. It's just every day may have a little small hiccup here or whatever, but again, it's minor, and I guess maybe I just take it a little too much to heart or whatever. But you know, when you're one of the team captains, it kind of goes with the territory.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And I forget, you all had a work-related trip not long ago. Was it to a football game or a baseball game? How was that? I think you had a couple recently.
The big trip was towards the end of the baseball season. We took the train up to Baltimore for an overnight trip, and my boss, our owner, used to play for the Orioles, so we got the hookup, as you could say. Red carpet treatment. Got to go on the field to watch batting practice. That was outstanding experience. Standing literally behind home plate while they're, you know, taking batting practice and infield practice. Felt like a little kid. It was awesome. Yeah, that was good. We always, they take care of us, and you know, we always try to do one staff trip a year, and then there's other supplemental kind of little perks that come up, and that wasn't even our big staff trip for the year. So yeah, so that was a lot of fun. So yeah, there's always something going on. You know, it's definitely a work hard, play hard industry. You know, depending on what time of year it is, you may work harder than you do play, but yeah. So yeah, that might have been what you were alluding to. That was great. Great memories. Great behind the scenes look. With not just, you know, baseball and the Orioles experience, and got to meet a lot of cool people. Got to meet Jim Palmer, because he does the broadcasting, and he was down the field talking to players before the game, and yeah, it was just a really fun time, and then took the train back home the next day.
Oh, yeah, that does sound great. That does sound great. So, with your boss's connection to the Orioles, do your products have I don't know, special distribution at, what is it, Camden Yard?
We don't now. We're not licensed to go out of state into Maryland. So our place has had a relationship with the Flying Squirrels for a good amount of time now. I forget the exact year the Squirrels got started, but we've been doing a beer for them for a good chunk of years now, and still do to this day. So maybe the baseball connection is what originally got in that relationship or helped it out. I'm not sure, but no, not with the Orioles, but we do have the baseball connection with one of our products that is very Flying Squirrels name related, And then we even have our own little beer brew kiosk in the stadium there at the Diamond. We're not sure what's going to happen with the building the new stadium and the route they're going to take with all the concessions and stuff like that. But so we'll just stand by and see what that may bring in the future.
All right. Well, very good. Very good. Yeah, I'll still listen for you on, I think you said Saturday, but I feel like we're all caught up. Having missed several weekend QSOs, we had to catch up, and I think we're just about there. So, anyway, thanks for running the net, as always, and for volunteering to run it for another year. That is great. KB2OYI from KO4UOR. I'll be clear on your final, sir.
All right, Scott, good to catch up as always. And yeah, you can probably hear me on the radio. Sunday is the day I will be out there. I don't know if I misspoke or what, but either way, if you hear me call out, and I'm confident you'll return the call. You have yourself a fine evening and a good finish to your week there. KO4UR from KB2OI. We'll say 7-3.